The deadlift, 5 steps in 5-ish minutes. Step 1, stance. Stand close to the bar. Place your heels directly below your hip joints, toes out slightly, then waddle your feet under the bar, getting close enough that your shins are roughly 1 inch away from touching the bar when your knees are locked out. The bar should be close to or directly above your midfoot. Midfoot is the point halfway between the length of your entire foot from the back of your heel to the tip of your big toe. A midfoot placement will work for many lifters. However, there are options for some bigger lifters and fat lifters who carry more weight in their lower body, may have a lower center of mass, or have a tummy that the bar is running into when you stand up. If that is you, experiment setting up with the bar closer to your toes, roughly 2 inches away from your shins. Starting with the barbell a little further from your shins and closer to the base of your big toe can do 2 things. Balance the lower center of mass against the barbell and create a vertical bar path that clears your legs and tummy when lifting to lockout. Bigger lifters and fat lifters may also like to widen your stance and make space for your tummy to rest between your legs in the starting position. And you may consider switching to another variation entirely that uses an extra wide stance called the sumo deadlift, if it's more comfortable, or as an extra variation in addition to your conventional deadlift. Step 2.1, hinge. Hip hinge down to the bar and grip the bar so your thumbs are touching your legs. You hinge by opening your hips and knees, then reaching your hips backwards like you are using your hips to press a button on the wall behind you. You should feel a stretch in your hamstrings and glutes. Think about this sensation like lengthening a spring and placing the tension on the main movers of your deadlift, the hips. Your kneecaps should be inside the pits of your elbows. Your knees should track over your toes with shins very close to or touching the bar. But do not move the barbell. We want to keep the bar over the midfoot position as we already established in step 1. A note on hip height. If your knees are peeking out in front of your elbows toward your toes, that means your hips are probably too low. Raise your hips up so we can load our hip hinge spring and ensure we are not going to squat the weight up. If you are tall or have relatively long femurs, it's okay if your knees peek out an inch or so. Another signal for correct hip height is the position of your shoulders relative to the bar. We want the barbell directly under your armpits with your shoulders just slightly in front of the bar. The start position here is everything. It has 2 main elements, bar over the midfoot and hip height. Getting these right will fix a lot of downstream issues with smoothness, stability, and strength. No matter your body type, we all want to create a smooth vertical bar path with no horizontal movement. Step 2.2, grip. When gripping the bar, we do not want the bar deep in our hands towards our wrist. Too deep in our palms can cause unnecessary skin folding, callus tearing, and rolling of the bar. Line the bar up with the lowest knuckle on your middle finger. I recommend all lifters use a double overhand grip during your warm-up sets throughout your lifting career. But as you get stronger, most lifters want to use what's called a mixed grip or a switch grip during your working sets by switching your non-dominant hand to an underhand grip. This reduces the grip strength required to hold heavier weights because as the bar naturally rolls out of one hand, it rolls into the other. Step 3.1, chest through wall, armpits to hips, and eyes. Pull your chest up to point at the wall in front of you. Imagine for a moment you have lasers for nipples. You want to point your laser nipples at the object standing in front of you. Picture your local fascist, corporate politician, landlord boss, or similar enemy, and obliterate them. Pulling or reaching your chest forward will create spinal engagement downstream, moving your thoracic and lumbar spine into more extension. This spinal movement is similar to the cow in the cat-cow, though we do not want to hyperextend here. As your chest pulls forward, your armpits will squeeze down toward your hips, engaging your lats that will work to keep the bar close to your legs and above the midfoot. Your arms are reaching long through the floor, and your shoulder blades are depressed and protracted, not retracted. There's a lot of talk and opinions about the most correct back position on deadlifts. We simply want a back position where we feel engaged as our back contracts isometrically, and a position we can maintain throughout the rep without moving into a ton of flexion or extension. Eyes. I recommend looking your eyes at a point on the floor 5 to 8 feet in front of you and keeping your eyes focused there on that small point throughout the set, or at least during each rep while the bar is moving. At this point, while reaching your chest through the wall, you may feel somewhat tight, awkward, and weird, which means you are doing it correctly and have taken all the slack out of your body. Congratulations, you are now a strong and kind of weird looking statue. Step 3.2, Heavy Hands. Heavy hands is a cue to start leg pressing the floor while actively reaching your chest forward still with locked out elbows until you literally feel the weight pulling down into your hands. When you do this, there will be a small clicking sound as the collar of the barbell hits the top of the hole in the plate. That sound means you have taken the slack out of the bar. Step 3.3. Finally, inhale a big breath down into your hips and belly. Ideally, you want to hold your breath while the bar is moving to create maximum strength for a rigid trunk. Breathing and bracing technique is covered in great detail in my other videos. Step 4, Leg press and glute squeeze. Leg press the floor, then squeeze your glutes, takes the weight from the floor to standing up at lockout. Leg pressing the floor uses your quads to break the weight off the floor and literally leg presses the barbell to your knees. Then, squeeze your glutes, uses your glutes and hamstrings to thrust the weight to your hips. You should finish the lift with a hard contraction of your glutes, but not so hard that you lean backwards. The top of the deadlift is signaled by locked out knees, locked out hips, and shoulders in line with your hips. Step 5, Hinge and controlled drop. To lower the bar to the floor, hinge by unlocking your hips and knees, then reaching your hips backwards towards that button. This hinge should not be slow, but just controlled enough so the bar does not crash down into your thighs. This is not a Romanian deadlift, so the lowering phase should not feel like work. It is just a controlled drop, and it should make some noise. Thanks for watching. Happy deadlifting!